Yeah, it's about to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today we are discussing about the profit and loss in the placement training. In the quantitative aptitude is an integral part of an aptitude exams, most aptitude
Wait,
exams.
wait, hurry,
Yes,
please
sir.
wait.
Yes, sir.
Please wait.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. You present now. Make it in a present mode.
Sir, can you see?
Yeah. Presentation mode. Put it in the presentation mode.
Yes, sir.
You share your entire screen. Don't share the application alone. You share your entire screen. Yeah, now it is visible. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yes. Yeah, proceed.
Yes, sir. Quantitative aptitude is an integral part of many aptitude exams. Aptitude is the natural skills of or talents of a particular person, and it tests the quantitative skills along with the logical and analytical skills. It is an important part of the competitive exams, and one of the major topic in the quantitative aptitude is profit and loss. And today we are going to discuss detailedly about the profit and loss. The concept of profit and loss plays a fundamental role in the realm of economics and accounts. The important aspects of profit and loss, like cost price, selling price, percentage profit and loss, list price, equivalent discounts, etc. We're all going to discuss about this detail. First it goes. Ajani is going to take cost price and selling price and profit percentage and loss percentage. Ajani. Ajanya?
Ajanya lost his network. She's trying to reconnect.
So should I take my portion, sir?
Now you call Aranya, check with her whether she joined.
Yes, sir. She has internet issues, sir. It's raining there in her place, so she has internet.
Okay, then you start.
Okay, sir. Ajani is going to discuss about cost price, selling price, and profit percentage and loss price. And I'm going to discuss about the list price, starting from list price. List price, it is a very important concept and domain of profit and loss. When we, for example, when we visit a shop, how do we find the price of an item? We either ask the shopkeeper or look for the price attached in the object. Every product has a price label, also we known as an MRP. So also manufacturers suggest a retail price, or we are aware of the usual MRP, maximum retail price, is where the product sold at. So
Ajanya, have you joined?
Yes, sir.
Can you please take your part?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, switch over, Hari. Please switch over to Ajanya.
okay, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. Before going to profit and loss, we want to know what is selling price and what is cost price. Let's take have a bag. Bought it for 100 rupees and sell it for 120 rupees. The 100 is the cost price because we getting the bag from the wholesaler or something where we are paying 100 rupees to get this bag. So this is the cost price. And the bag is sell it for 120 rupees. So it's called as selling price. Here the cost price is 100 and the selling price is 120. Next we are going to the profit. Profit calculate the profit by using this formula. Profit is equal to selling price minus cost price. That is here 120 minus 100, that's equal to 20. Here we have 20 rupees is the profit. In the next is bought a bag for 100 rupees and sell it for 80. Here the cost price is 100 and selling price is 80. Then it is 20 is less than the cost price. Here we have a loss. Calculate the loss by using the formula is loss is equal to cost price minus selling price. That is 100 minus 80, 20. And there is two important points here. Selling price is more than the cost price. It's called profit. And the selling price is less than the cost price. This is called loss. And the next is profit percentage. Profit percentage with these constants. Nothing but profit percentage is equal to profit by cost price into 100. Here we know the profit is equal to selling price minus cost price. Here 20 divided by 100 into 100. 100 and 100 cancel, then the 20% is the profit. And to calculate the loss percentage is equal to loss divided by cost price into 100. Here we know the loss is equal to cost price minus selling price. So loss divided by cost price into 100. Here the 20 divided by 100 into 100, that's equal to 20% is the loss. Then we always use the cost price in the denominator instead of selling price. Cost price is always remain constant. That's why we use cost price in the formula. And the next slide, please. The next is getting a bag 100 rupees and selling it 120. We know that the profit is 20%. Here some questions like selling a bag at 120 and attaining a profit 20%. What is the cost price would get the bag? Then we find the cost price. In that case, cost price is equal to 100 divided by 100 plus gain percentage. Here we know the profit is 20. So 20 and the cost selling price is 120. So 100 by 100 plus 20 into 120. That is 100 by 120 into 120. Cost price is equal to 100. Then the selling price is equal to 100 plus gain percentage divided by 100 into cost price. The gain percentage is 20. So 120 by 100 into 100, that is 120. And the next slide. Here we can conclude the important formula for the profit and loss. Profit is equal to calculate the profit, selling price minus cost price, and to calculate the loss, cost price minus selling price. To calculate the profit percentage, selling price minus cost price divided by cost price into 100. And to calculate the loss percentage, cost price minus selling price divided by cost price into 100. In some problem, the gain percentage and cost price are given and asking to find the selling profit. So in that case, selling price is equal to 100 plus gain percentage divided by 100 into cost price. In another case, the questions like giving the loss percentage and cost price and asking to find the selling price, then that time we use this formula. And some questions gain percentage and the selling price is given and asking to find cost price. And also selling price and loss price is given asking to find the cost price. We can look at some problems. Next slide. A gold bracelet is sold for 14,500 at a loss of 20%. What is the cost price of gold bracelet? Here we want to find the cost price. That's cost price. The formula is cost price is equal to 100 by 100 minus loss percentage into selling price. That is 100 by 100 minus, here the loss percentage is 20. So 20 into selling price is 14,500. So into 14,500, at last we got 18,125. And the next question. By selling a cell phone for 2,400, a shopkeeper make a profit of 25%. Then his profit percentage, he had sold it for 2040. First, a person is selling a mobile phone that is for 2,400. After selling for the amount, he found that he got a 25% profit. And if he sold the same mobile phone for 2040, so we need to find what will be the profit percentage. By using first two data, that is 2,425, we can calculate the cost price of mobile phone. So cost price is equal to 100 by 100 plus gain percentage into selling price is equal to 100 by 100 plus 25 is the gain percentage here, profit percentage, and into selling price is 2,400. And at last we got cost price is equal to 1,900 and 920. And now he is selling for 2040. It will be the selling price of the mobile phone. So we need to find what will be the gain percentage. The formula for gain a percentage, that is profit percentage, is equal to selling price minus cost price divided by cost price. Here the cost price is 1,920 and the selling price is 2,040. So 2,040 minus 1,920 divided by 1,920 into 100. At last we got 6.25%. Next slide. The next question is, the difference between the selling price and cost price of an article is 240. If the profit is 20%, then we want to find the selling price. They are given the data like the difference between selling price and cost price, that is 240, and the profit is 20%. Our target to find the selling price. We know that the formula for profit percentage is selling price minus cost price divided by cost price is here profit is D, and the difference between selling price and cost is 240 divided by cost price into 100. And take the cost price on the other side and we got cost price of 200. But our target, so we know that selling price cost price will be the profit. Here it is 240. So the cost price is 1,200. So selling price is equal to 1,200 plus 240. That is selling price is equal to 1,440. Next question. Next slide. Next question is, in certain store, the profit is 320% of the cost. If the cost is increased by 25%, but the selling price is remain constant, approximately what percentage of the selling price is the profit? Here the cost price is not given in the question. So we can take it as cost price as 100 and the profit is 320. So we have the formula to find the selling price, that is 100 plus gain percentage divided by 100 into cost price. That is 100 plus gain percentage is here, that is profit percentage 320 divided by 100 into cost price is 100. And this question you can see, if the cost increased by 25%, we are taking the cost price is 100. The 25% of 100 is 25. So 100 plus 25, 125. So the new cost price is 125. Here we can find the profit here. Selling price minus cost price. That is 420 minus 120 is equal to 295. And the question is approximately what percentage of the selling price is the profit? So the required percentage is 295 divided by 420. That is profit divided by selling price into 100. That is approximately 70% is the answer. Next slide. It is the exercise 5 questions to do. And the next part is taken by Hari.
Thank you, Ajanya, for the expression. Now, I'm going to take about the list price. It is a very important concept in domain of profit and loss. For example, when we visit a shop, how do we find the price of an item or a product? We either ask the shopkeeper about the price or look for the price marked in the object. That is clearly the MRP, the maximum retail price that the product can be sold. That is the list price. List price is also known as the mark price. It is a price manufactured units for products, and sometimes we pay lesser than more than the market price for our convenience. So many ask, what is the difference between list price and the selling price? It's basically the same thing, but it's a difference because list price is the MRP, isn't the MRP, but sometimes we might negotiate with the seller or settle to increase or decrease the price, mostly decrease the price. So finally, when the seller and buyer set on a particular price, that is the selling price. So the difference between list price and the selling price is this. List price is fixed. It is in the MRP. It is produced by the manufacturer. It is the list price. So sometimes we buy going with the MRP, but sometimes we negotiate or settle for other prices. By settling for other price is the selling price. The next concept in profit and loss is an equivalent discount. It is a good one. Discounts are offered to attract customers. Mostly discounts are offered to attract customers. Many times shopkeepers offer multiple discounts to clear their goods. These successive equivalence discounts are calculated as on mark price or selling price. These successive discounts or equivalent discounts are when the shopkeeper gives multiple discounts. For example, for a single product, the shopkeeper gives 30% discount, then again a 20% of discount. That is the equivalent discount or successive discount. So this is a question. We can know more about equivalent or successive discount in this question. The MRP, the actual price, the listed price of the product is given as ₹2,000, and the merchant decides to provide successive discounts of 30% and the 20% on the product. Find the selling price. We need to find the selling price. The shopkeeper gives first 30% of discount, then another 20% on that product. So this is in the successive discount. So first we need to calculate the MRP after 30% discount. Then again we calculate the 20% discount of that particular answer. So first we find the discount of the 30% of ₹2,000. That is ₹600. So subtracting that from the 2,000, we will get a final answer of ₹1,400. So further discount, we are going to calculate the further discount of 20%. So finding the discounting the price of 20% from the 1,400, we will get ₹280. So subtracting that from the previous answer, we will get the final answer of ₹1,120. So this will be the final selling price of the product after giving successive discounts of 30% and the 20%. So now some may wonder, what is the advantage of giving 30% and 20% as successive discounts? Why not give 50% as a whole percentage? 50% discount as whole. We will discuss that in the next question. So this is the question. What will be more profitable from a customer's point of view? Two successive discounts of 30% and 20% respectively, or a single discount of 50%? This is the question. So let the market price of a product be ₹100. We assume that the price of a product be 100. So for the we are going to take two cases. Case one as the successive discounts of 30% and 20%, and case two as a single discount of 50%. So for the case one, two successive discounts of 30% and 20% are given respectively for the product with the price of 100. So the price after the first discount will be 30% of 100 is 330. So we'll be subtracting the 30 from the 100. We'll get the final of rupees 70. Then again further discounting the 20% from this above rupees 70, we will get 14. Then we'll subtract the 70 from the 14 from 70. Then we'll get the final discount rupees 56. So when a product with a cost of 100 rupees, giving the successive discounts of 30% and 20%, the final selling price has to be 50 rupees 56, and the customer has to pay rupees 56. If he goes for the case one as such successive discounts of 30% and 20% respectively. Now we will see what happens when using a single discount. For the case two, there is a single discount of 50% given. So the final price after the single discount will be 50% of 100 is rupees 50. So subtracting that from the main price is rupees 50. So the customer has to pay rupees 50 for the product. So as we can see from both cases, in the first case, the customer has to pay rupees 56. And in the second case of 50%, the customer has to pay 50. That means 6 rupees is cheaper. So we can see from this alone what is the profitable point of view from the customer's point of view. What is the profitable case? This is the equivalent discounts property. Now, this is next concept of profit and loss is the banker's discount and true discount. True discount and banker's discount are two different things, but it also uses in the profit and loss. It combines in purposes. Suppose I will explain this in a simple question. Suppose that a merchant A buys goods worth rupees 2000 from another merchant B at a credit of say 12 months or 1 year. He can pay, so he'll take it as a credit. So he'll pay after 1 year or 12 months. The whole worth of the product is 2000 rupees. So the B prepares the bill called the bill of exchange, which is also known as BIL. It's a exchange of bill. Everybody knows in bank case. So the merchant A signs this bill that allows B to withdraw the amount from his bank account after the specified duration of 12 months with interest. We can say 5%. So he can't because the A can't pay right now. He is giving it as a credit. So B is going to withdraw the amount in 12 months with the interest of 5%. So the date exactly after the 12 months is called the nominal due date. It is just an extra information. The correct date after the 12 months is nominal due date. But the bank gives furthermore 3 days of grace period. This is the grace period is also added to this date of expiry. So for example, the due date comes in 5th April. The grace period of 3 days will be included, and the final due date will be called as legally due date. It will be in the 8th April, for example. So the 3 days are the grace period. So we are discussing about banker's discount. So we are going to know about that. Suppose the 12 months is the due date. Is the nominal due date is the 12 months. But suppose B needs the money in suppose after 6 months. B needs the money immediately and cannot wait till due date. In this case, we can approach bank or broker to pay him money against the bill. Using this bill, he can take the money, and in this situation, the money paid by the banker will be less than the face value. Here, the face value is the rupees 2000, but he is taking it 6 months before the due date. He is getting less than the face value. So for this amount, the banker will deduct the simple interest on the face value for the remaining time. For the remaining time means 6 months, already it passed 6 months. So the remaining time is also 6 months. So the banker will deduct the face value for the remaining time using the simple interest. And this discount is in accounting terms is called as banker's discount or commercial discount. The interest on the face value is called the banker's discount, and the difference between the banker's discount and the true discount. True discount, we're going to discuss about it in the next. So the difference between a banker's discount and a true discount is called the banker's gain. So bank has to gain something. So we're going to find what is the gain of the bankers. So assume that we already assume that 2000 is the work price and 12 months of credit and 5% as a simple interest. So we are going to find the present value, because the present value means the B is retrieving the money just after 6 months, not after 12 months. So we are going to find the present value of that good after 6 months. So to find the present value, we are going to divide the face value, that is 2000, by 1 plus time into rate. So this is the equation for the present value. So after we calculating this, we will get 2000 by 1.025, and we'll get the final present value of that product, 1951.22. So this is the present value that the merchant B can get. So the true discount of this true discount is the true discount. The equation for the true discount is present value into rate into time. It's a simple simple equation. So we are going to find the true discount. The true discount of the product is 48.78. We can also get this true discount by subtracting the present value from the face value. Face value is 2000. So from subtracting the 1951.22 from the 2000, we can get the true discount. It is also possible. So this is the true discount. The true discount is a simple interest on the present value or worth of for the unexpired time. We are not going to calculate the unexpired time. Unexpired time means the time we are not the time is not expired. The means the merchant B taking the bill just only after 6 months. So another 6 months is the unexpired time. So this is the true discount. This is the true amount. This is the true amount the merchant B should get. But by giving the true discount to the merchant B, the bank does not gain anything at all. So this is what we are going to discuss about. So if the bank pays rupees 1951.22, that means the present value to the merchant B in exchange for the bill, the bank would not make a profit for the deal, because this is the present value of the product. This is the correct value, and this is the true discount. So if the bank pays this amount, the bank does not get anything at all. So the bank does not use the true discount. That is why the bank is not going to use this true discount. Instead, it is going to use the banker's discount. It is a unique formula for the bankers. So the bank does not use the true discount, but uses another formula to calculate the discount called the banker's discount. This is called the banker's discount. So in the banker's discount is a simple interest on the face value, that is the 2000, of the debt for the period from the date on which the bill is discontinued to the legally due date. So the true discount is calculated from when the bill is assigned. That means from the start, then to the moment when he retrieved the bill by using the bill to the bank. That is 6 months. That is how the true discount is calculated using the present value. But in banker's discount case, it is going to calculate using the face value and the remaining time. The remaining time is also coincidentally 6 months, because the merchant B retrieved the money before 6 months. So the unexpired time is 6 months. So the banker's discount is going to calculate using the face value instead of present value, and using the remaining time, which the bill is discontinued to the legally due date, which is 6 months, unexpired time. That is the 6 months in this example. So the banker deducts the interest on the face value for the unexpired time. This is the banker's discount. So as we can see in the banker's discount formula, instead of here in true discount, we are using present value, but in here we are using the face value, and the rate is same as the before. But in here, in the time, we use the time. In the true discount, we use the time of user took the time to retrieve. If the user took 12 months to retrieve, the time will be 12. But the user merchant B took the bill 6 months before the legally due date. So The remaining time is also 6 months. So by calculating this, we will get the banker's discount of 50. So instead of discounting the true discount, the bank gives true discount, they're not going to gain anything. So the banker discounts the bankers using the banker's discount from the face value and pays out 2000 minus 15, the 1950 rupees. So the merchant B will get 1950 instead of the true discount of the present value of 1951. So what is the banker's gain? Banker's gain is the banker's discount minus the true discount. And we can finally calculate the 1.22. The bank gains 1.22 rupees from this transaction. This is a simple example of banker's discount and how true discount is used in the banker's discount equations and formulas. So these are the important formulas for banker's discount. There are several other formulas. This is some of the important ones. So here we're going to TDS true discount, FPS face value, R interest, BDS bankers discount, PV present value, and TS time. So the simple interest divided on the face value for the bill for unexpired time. That is the banker's discount. This is the equation for banker's discount. That is face value into rate into time. In here, the time is the unexpired time. Therefore, the present values, as we can see, we already seen that the face value divided by 1 plus time into rate. The simple interest divided on the present value for the remaining time. That is the true discount. That is the original true discount. So that is a PV into TR by 100. That means the present value into time into rate. And we have other formulas to find the true discount and the present value, face value. This is the banker's gain. We only seen this is the formula banker's gain. To find the banker's gain, we can use banker's discount minus true discount. But in this case, we can find if we didn't get the face value, we use these formulas to find the banker's gain. But in here we get the face value of 2000, so we calculate using the easiest way. But in this formula we find the face value. This is the formula for finding the face value if we didn't give it in the question. So we are going to look at another example for banker's discount and true discount. So another one is find the present value. We are going to find the present value, banker's discount and the banker's gain for a bill of 1,05,400 rupees. This is the face value which is due in 6 months, and the time is 6 months, and we have the simple interest of 9% per annum. So here the FV is 1,05,400 and the time is 6 by 12 is per annum, so 6 by 12, and that is 0.5, and we have rate 9%. So first we are going to find the banker's discount. The formula for banker discount is face value into time into rate. So by calculating this, you will get the banker's discount of rupees 4,743. Now we are going to first, before finding banker's gain, we have to find the true discount and the present value, as we see in the previous question. So first we are going to find the present value. The present value is nothing but face value divided by 1 plus time into rate. So after calculating that, we will get the present value of 1,861. Next, we are going to find the true discount. We can find the true discount by subtracting the present value from face value. Means true discount is equal to FV minus PV. But the another formula is PV into rate into time. After calculating this, we will get 4,530. This is the true discount, and this is the banker's discount. At most time, banker's discount will be higher than the true discount. After we can subtracting the banker's discount from true discount, we will get the banker's gain. This is the bank gains after transacting this process. This is the total of banker's gain. This is how we find banker's gain, banker's discount, and present value. This is a simple example for that. Next topic. This is another concept in profit and loss: fixed, variable, and semi-variable cost. We heard about it. First, we are going to discuss about fixed cost. A cost that doesn't change in a short term or irrespective of how the volume of the products or the sales may change is the fixed cost. It means the cost will not change. However, the volume of the production or sales may change, the cost will remain unchanged. The value of fixed cost determines the cost of the product, and thus the profit and loss incurred by the business. Whatever this, the fixed cost will be fixed. No matter what, it will remain unchanged. So, for example, if you are living in a rented place, you must have negotiated the cost of the place or the rent for a term that is on a rental agreement. So we will already agreed with the particular amount and we made an agreement. So this is the fixed cost. It won't change. This cost will not change as long as the rental agreement is valid. For example, we signed the lease for 5 years and we fix an amount for like 5,000 rupees. For the 5 years we are going to live in, the cost will not change. Whatever happens, the electricity will increase, water will increase, anything, whatever happens, the fixed cost, the rent remains unchanged. This cost will not change as long as the rental agreement is valid. The rent is a fixed cost here. Similarly, another example is the property tax. The most times the property tax won't change. It is unchanged. So it is an example for fixed cost. Next is variable cost. These are the costs that vary as the total cost to the organization when the output. Output in here means the number of items or services provided by the business varies. Means the price may changes depends on the output. In other words, we say that a variable cost varies in exactly the same proportion as the output varies. As the number of services or the values changes, the cost also changes. Therefore, as sales increases, the variable cost will increases. A great example for is a variable cost for is a bakery would be the cost of the flour. For example, the cake and the value of these will not change in a particular time, but as the changes of the variables, for example, flour, sugar, other things increases. Also, the value of the cost of the cakes also increases. Similarly, in other businesses, the variable cost will be determined by the raw materials. In this case, in the case of bakery, the raw materials is flour, sugar, eggs, etc., and the output of the business. By increasing the sale, it will bring more profit. That is the variable cost. It will change, depends on proportion to the output varies. We can also say that the cost which changes in the same proportion as the units produced is the variable case. It is another way to say about a variable cost. And the last one is semi-variable cost. This cost is a cost which has elements of both fixed cost as well as the variable cost. This contains both properties of the fixed cost and variable cost. Fixed cost means remains unchanged. It will not change until a period of time. Variable cost will change the proportion to the output. So a cost that contains the components of both fixed as well as variable cost is said to be the semi-variable cost. In other words, we say that a cost that remains fixed up to a certain level of production and changes with the change in the volume of production. Beyond this level is a semi-variable cost. We can simply know about this with an example. For example, you get 1 GB data per day if you subscribe to a monthly plan of X rupees. We are paying the X rupees for a monthly plan for 1 GB per data. So this X rupees is a fixed cost. It is a fixed cost which will not change unless you start to use more data than 1 GB. So in case your data usage exceeds 1 GB, the same company will charge you extra money. For example, your daily quota is 1 GB per day. But if you exceed this 1 GB, the remaining cost price will be from your taken from your balance. This charge will be proportional to the amount of extra data that you use. This is the semi-variable cost. It contains both variables of the fixed and both components of the fixed and the variable cost. This is the semi-variable cost. And this is simple exercises created by I provided. First 5 questions from the topics I taken. That's it, sir.
That's a very extensive presentation. Good job. Can you please share that PPT to me so that I can upload in the Google Classroom so that everyone can look into that and they can work on the assignment problem.
Okay, sir.
So all of you will upload the content which is present and the assignment problem which is given by Ajanya and Hari Krishna. Go through the examples and the introduction section of this and then try to solve the problem by yourself. So as I said, it is purely a self-driven activity. So your cooperation is highly requested for your own betterment. With those lines, can I request the team to present on the technical things which we have ready for discussion? Group 2. Group 2, in between Hari Krishna, please share the group 1 PPT. Group 2, can you please share what you have to discuss with us this week?
Sir, should I send it to you via your mail?
You send it to me, I will upload in the Google Classroom.
Okay, sir.
Who are in group 2?
It's going to be Antakula Shivalila and Juhirani.
Huh?
Antakula Shivalila and Juhirani.
Both of them are not there in the group.
Yes, sir.
Antakula Shivalila and
Juhi.
check whether they are there in the group. Both of them are not, right?
Sir, they are not in the group.
Huh?
They are not in this meeting, sir.
Oh, they didn't join from the beginning. They didn't join. This is how people behaves, you know. I said it's my family time. In spite of that, I'm spending my time with you people. Then, if you're not spending or sparing a time for your own betterment, then that will impact badly. So those two people are not there. So what can be done? Please suggest.
Sir, did you get the mail? I just sent the PPT.
Check.
Okay, sir.
Please suggest what can be done for the technical session today.
So maybe we can discuss the basics.
Huh?
We can discuss the basics, like whatever everyone knows can share.
You can discuss.
Basics of it starts with C today. So basics we can do that.
What basics?
Like whatever they knew, or like data structures, in data structures, what are all there, whatever we have to cover, that topics alone we can discuss, sir, at least.
That will not be. What I'll do is that I'll just upload the PPT. There are some 5 to 10 questions that has been given by the group 1.
Yes, sir.
So you can discuss, solve, and try to complete that within 5 o'clock and upload the solution in the Google Classroom.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I call for open discussion, then that might be overlapped with the topic which is there in the list. So that will create the confusion. Not to override, I will just upload this PPT. All of you look into that. Try to go to the example problem. Try to solve the problem which is given. 5 problems has been given by both the students. So try to solve that. Is it okay?
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
2 seconds, I will just upload, okay? Wait for 2 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Please look into the Google Classroom. I have uploaded the material. Please read, work out the assignment, work out for the assignment, and upload the same in Google Classroom. All of you try to give the also in the Google Classroom, which is posted there. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
So if you want, you can use this Google Classroom platform for the discussion, and then you can just close it. So is it okay for all?
Okay, sir. Sir, there is no upload for the
Yeah,
answers.
tell me. Someone asked you a question.
So there is no upload option in the classroom.
Check, it will be there.
No, sir.
Oh, wait, I will just change.
Only the PPT is there, sir. Not upload option.
Oh, I just put as material, it seems, instead
Okay.
of assignment. Yeah. Please wait, I will do it. I have assigned in the assignment. Please work on that. With this thing, I will just leave the meeting, and if you want, you can use this platform for the discussion. So it's all up to you.
Sir, what about next week, sir? Which
Next week, I think they are not interested. I will, well, for the OS class, I will just ask them, and if they're not interested, then I will see to that what can be done in the next class. So, group 2 will now work on the quants that will has to be discussed next week. The group 3 can work on the aptitude. Next topic.
Okay, sir. Got that, sir.
The group 2, already group 2 has not done. Okay, so now group 3 worked on the technical section and group 4 worked on the aptitude. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So group 3 work on the technical first topic and group 4 work on the quants topic.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Then. So with those things I will leave and you can use this platform for the discussion if you need. Okay, try to upload the assignment as quick as possible. And don't waste your time, work on.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.